Welcome. In this video I'm going to discuss our approach to trading here at Language of Markets. Basically it's pretty simple. For instance, we take a simple setup like this wash and rinse and place it in a particular zone in a swing cycle. All we need is the ability to recognize a swing, recognize zones as that swing goes through process, and the ability to recognize the process of our setup. That's it. Just a setup in a particular zone in a swing. So what I've done in designing methods is take the language of price, all its individual components, things like V's, coils, valleys, mountains, gaps, etc., and structure that language into consistent and functional methods. These methods are designed around several things, around inherent tendencies of a market, stuff that repeats, things that you'll see no matter what the time frame, no matter what the instrument, anything you can chart actually. The methods are designed to be as simple and objective as possible. Trading is already difficult enough with a lot of information that can easily overwhelm anybody. So we strive to make it as simple and objective as we can with these methods, stuff that you can learn to identify, swing or wash, etc. The methods are also designed to help guide us, the trader, into best practices, most effective practices, whether we like it or not. So for instance, we've all heard the cliche of don't fight the market, go with the flow, don't resist the market. Well, the method should guide you to that one way or the other, and it's a matter of following your method. For instance, we're looking at an impulse, setting up some intention. Sellers drop it in a certain area. It's not predicting. Okay, it's not predicting. It's following. Hey, sellers dropped it from here. Hey, wait a minute, look. Look what happened. Those sellers that drop it, they hit it, they've just reversed themselves. Oh, we're probably resuming direction. Right? It's simple price action methods that take you with the market. We all know the feeling of sitting around in a chart. I think it's going to do this. I think it's going to do that, watching each bar. I feel this, I feel that. A good method is going to show you what it is doing, not what you think or feel it should do. Now, a big part of this approach is consistency. Trading is difficult. We're in an ever-changing, uncontrollable environment. The only thing we have control over is how we approach something, how we enter something, how we exit something. And we need to do this in a consistent manner. Like anything else, it takes practice to get proficient at something. Trading is doable, it's learnable, but it takes practice to get proficient. That practice has to be deliberate and consistent practice. By having a trading plan, by having a trading method that we follow, we have a basis for knowing if that plan is working or not, how it can be fine-tuned. If we're just doing things randomly, almost no learning takes place because we have nothing to measure what we did against. It's just random things measuring against random things. So we have some simple ways here for learning, right? Simple ways to frame a market, simple ways that are focused so that we can learn within that framework. To frame it so we can see it, so we can learn within that framework. Let's go over a simple approach, simple method here. Okay? So what we're waiting for is a strong impulsive move. That means the market is moving in a directional fashion. It's moving fast. It's showing you something's going on. It's in play. And for instance, on this chart, you can see, like if you look at this kind of price action here, you'll notice that it's different than other kinds of price action. I see the bars, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. They're not overlapping. They're going up. This is going up, but they're overlapping. It's different. It's an impulsive move. It's showing us something. It's showing us an intent of a market. Okay, so this is the basis of a method here. We wait for it to show us it's going somewhere. Then we map and identify the swing in its zones. So we map a swing. We identify the zones. Each one of these zones will have its own particular tendencies. And we understand that within this framework. For instance, as price is coming down, sellers are pushing it. And then they wrestle it away from the buyers. And then as it's coming up, the buyers have taken over, but they're hitting old sellers here, creating the pressure cooker zone after it's swapped. So it's pressuring buyers and sellers. And from here it will either drop or take off again. And quite often, once price makes a new high, we call this the first pullback zone. It will pull back. So we're looking for a particular setup in one of these zones. And afterwards, a clean air zone. It's just, there's nothing on the left to bother it. There's clean air. So we're looking for, say, a wash and rinse, which has a process. Number one, multi-pivot line. Boom, 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 boom. They're holding it. They drop it. Number two, right? They drop it hard. Just like this price action is different, you'll notice that this price action going down is different. Right? This is mapping a market. So I'm just briefly going over, right? You'll notice it's different than other price action. So I'm showing you have the ability to see these things. And then you just follow the process here, right? So we're going to then, after we map it, we're going to trade our methods in one of these four zones, whichever one offers it. Or you might want to specialize in one zone only. Each trade will be planned for 2.5 risk reward or better, knowing what gets us in, knowing what gets us out. And knowing all this ahead of time, so we're not fumbling in the heat of the moment. This is methodically trading a method and a plan, knowing what we're after, what gets us in, how we are going to enter, how we're going to manage, how we're going to get out. And then we're going to apply this same process consistently, a setup in one of these zones. And with this focus, we're going to become very good at understanding our setup, understanding the zones, understanding the swing. And then we apply it over and over. If it's not doing something in one of our zones with a setup, then we let it go. It can't be everywhere all the time. Now, there are other setups in the various zones that we can use, but with all learning, right, you layer things one at a time. It's not about trading. We're here to make money, not just relieve boredom and trade. Most of the time we hear things like be patient, but if you don't have some sort of method or process, you're not even sure what you're being patient for. Here we know what we're being patient for because it's very process oriented. We're following a certain process and then applying it consistently over and over, waiting for the market to move, identifying the swings, seeing if there's a trade in one of our zones. And each time we work in this focused way, we learn a little bit more about each zone, a little bit more about the setup, a little bit more about markets in general, a little bit more about ourselves trading. So that's it. That's our approach. Hopefully, no matter what your methods, you will get something out of this video, and I thank you for your attention.